Welcome to another podcast from Saturday Night Gaming for discussing Avengers Endgame. So you're about to hear from a variety of our group here on our opinions and impressions upon seeing this. Heavy spoilers ahead. Turn it off now if you don't want to listen. But if you do listen, make sure you share, like, and send to everybody except for those that have not seen Endgame.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Go see it. You're taking too long already.
But we'll go ahead and go around and introduce ourselves. I am Scott. I am the moderator for Saturday Night Gaming.
I'm Sean.
I am Tony. I am the awesome guy at Saturday Night Gaming.
I am Matt Gaiety.
John.
Did you say Matt Gay?
Giggity. Paul just said that too.
Giggity. Oh, right.
So are you agreeing with him, or I can't tell at this point?
I'm Gaiety.
You're next.
Kaysie.
Hi, I'm Ronnie.
There we go. And that's everybody joining us this time. Press the wrong button.
Yeah.
But alright, so I guess let's go ahead and go around and let's do, first impressions on it. You know, just what's your first impression after seeing the movie?
Should I put it on a timer? Starting with Sean.
Actually,
I think they'll
Should I put it? Can we all agree on like a 3-minute timer on
For Sean?
giving a quick review and
I was
then
thinking
we'll
like
get
20
into the
seconds
debate?
or less.
I was about to say, yeah, like 20
it's first
seconds.
impressions. There's not nothing detailed. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
like, as soon as the movie ended, how were you impressed by it?
5 seconds, go.
It was more beautiful than I ever imagined. It was honestly
All right,
like,
that's it, Tony.
honestly, like what I was thinking is this is literally like the Lord of the Rings trilogy all in one movie.
Except good. And that's what I need somebody
I'm
to
just
know.
saying, like, on epic
Well,
scale.
there might be
Except shorter.
people.
Shots fired.
Yeah. There may be people that have been forced to watch The Lord of the Rings all at once and thought to themselves, was the story not simple enough as The Hobbit? But
If you want to send hate mail, you can send it.
send it
Sean.
to Tony.
Regardless of your opinion on Lord of the Rings, I'm just saying the scale.
I
and
think on the
everything.
scale of epicness, this was like the entire trilogy of the original Star Wars.
Well, you would have to compare like the Lord of the Rings movies to the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's just not comparable.
Which was way more hours, and I was more satisfied spending more hours watching the Marvel Universe
Oh, I agree.
than falling asleep.
And these were all written for the screen, where Lord of the Rings was adapted. You know, it's
That was that
apples to
guy
oranges,
getting
really.
by being in prison. That's what he did. He wrote a story about people running away to a mountain.
Well, you can't even compare the stories because it's
It-
apples and oranges.
Sidetracked.
Yeah.
Maybe if they made an apple that tasted like an orange. It's not sticky, but it's still citrusy and apple.
So you
form.
just prefer apples over oranges?
I don't like
That's-
oranges.
yeah,
They're
Is that
sticky.
your impression?
I was about to say
Apples and
no.
oranges?
I was about to say this. They were saying I was going to take a long time.
My impression is that this was a complete moment of indulgence and satisfaction. That was it. Just a fanboy's dream of being completely satisfied by a product that was made by fanboys for fanboys
Is that what
and
she did?
for the world.
Honestly, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. It
Yeah.
was
Was that your first impressions too?
my first impression.
You just get mad.
Sean didn't make you see it in 3D, right?
Clearly.
And they did not, so I actually was able to
Enjoy it.
emotionally connect with the
Cool.
characters on screen. I wasn't thrust out of my realm of disbelief, but my first initial impression was that of the tone being set at the very beginning of the movie with Clint, and I was surprised initially how they just pulled that emotion out of me so quickly.
Right.
And of course, it's because of the history. It's 10 years
Yeah.
of building these characters up. That's why they have such weight. But I just let it wash over me. I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen.
Let it grow.
I'm just going to let it wash over me.
No, honestly,
and
what-
it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Honestly, what hit me so hard, with that so long, was Iron Man's dad.
Hold on a
Hey,
second.
hold on.
Let Matt go.
Quit skipping me through
Good
that, man.
Lord.
You're going
Yeah.
in. We're still
You
trying to
didn't just
quick
skip him, you
overview.
skipped the movie.
I'm just talking on his point. of like
But
the weight
we're
of it
not at that
overall.
point
Right,
yet.
No, but
we're
they're
just doing
doing
first impressions.
Yeah,
right
we're
now.
not at
That's all
that
we're
point
doing.
yet.
We
We're
can
not
discuss
there
in a moment. We're just kind of just.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
apologize,
yeah.
Matt, for kind of skipping.
It's fine. Yeah, my first impression was, and I kind of went into the mindset of guessing some of the stuff and just letting whatever actually came out wash over me and just enjoy it as it was and feel whatever emotions that they tried to cultivate and try to just feel it. And man, it was definitely amazing. I had some good ups, some downs, definitely a couple tear-jerk moments even for a guy like me.
I'm like you. I'm a freaking Marine, and I still cried. I'm willing.
Yeah,
to
I got a little
admit it.
misty-eyed.
I didn't sob or anything, but there was a few moments where it was like my eyebrows. I felt them turn up, and then like a little tear started coming down my side of my cheek.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my daughter. She's fine. She's keeping it together, but I'm about to break down like my grandmother died for the first time all over again.
Yeah, I noted too that I kind of got emotional even when there was like really happy moments.
Yeah, because you were so happy for me.
Yeah,
Filled
yeah.
with hope. Something Superman never did. In
Or
his
just like
entire
sweet
movie,
moments
man.
between characters who were both obviously
There
suffering.
was one in that movie, Man of Steel. There was the
He
Going
said
to
it meant
that-
hope.
What was a tearjerker moment in that too?
All right, Kaysie, your first impressions.
We'll have to go over that at some point.
I highly enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm a girl and I did cry a lot. So there was a lot of things I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. That's
Expect the
unexpected.
unexpected. Alright.
Well, yeah, like my wife, oh Lord, I was almost on the verge of ugly crying at the end of the movie. But man, movie was an emotional roller coaster. It's so many laughs, so many tears of joy and sadness at the same time. It's just, I've never been this exhausted after a movie before, and it was absolutely beautiful.
It was also 3 hours too.
Yeah. The
3
road-
hours.
This was the first one.
It did not feel like 3 hours.
It
at
did.
all.
That's true. I
It
agree.
felt
It
like-
did not feel like 3 hours.
I don't know.
It felt like
it
an
did not
hour.
feel-
It felt like 2.5 hours.
Well, I mean, just the fact that they
I
gave
felt-
people
I
what
felt
they
like
thought the entire movie was going to be.
Yeah.
They gave it to them in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to go through space and try to find him, and eventually Thor was going to go for the hand or the
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
He did both!
Yeah. You just
Within
did
the first 20 minutes, he was like, screw you! Bam! I took that off for the first time in a Disney-inspired Marvel movie.
Right.
Yeah. That's
And
actually against like Disney code.
It
Those
is. They had to
decapitations.
have made a waiver for the decapitation that we got to see like 3 times in that one movie.
Yeah.
I will say this.
He's an alien.
I think
so it's
because
okay.
they did it kind of off screen.
No, I saw neck bone.
We saw a head
Yeah.
roll.
We saw
Yeah.
neck bone and a head roll.
I think one of the most surprising moments of the movie for me was just Thor himself.
Yeah.
I did not expect that at all. Like, he just shows up, just like, boom. And it's
Yeah.
like his first appearance.
Thor Lebowski.
Yeah. I leaned over to my wife and I said, baby, I can cosplay Thor now.
There's that, but the thing is, Thor actually had some, or Chris Evans, not Chris Evans.
Chris
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth.
Sorry, too many Chris's. Chris Hemsworth, honestly,
Not
just
anymore.
his acting ability in this
Yes.
blew me away.
Yeah.
Like all the acting in this, but like
Yeah, the acting was top notch.
yeah,
Top notch.
on everybody. Even honestly, even on Tony's daughter, I thought it was the most adorable thing in the world.
Tony having
man.
a daughter was so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for being a Tony with a daughter that
Yeah.
used to be a guy like Tony
Honestly,
that
coming
drank
from
too
a
much.
guy with a
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah,
I
But
mean,
also need to-
having a daughter and then
Is her name Megan?
You gotta
No.
change your name. Change
no,
your name.
but she does own my arc reactor that says proof that Tony Stark has a heart,
yeah,
which
I thought it
now
was a nice
became
nod.
relevant again.
yeah.
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 That was a good nod
Yeah.
back to the first Iron Man, and so was the Captain America and Bucky scene. It
Yeah.
was a nice little nod back to the Captain America First Avenger, and that's how I knew
They nodded to almost every
That's how I knew-
single
Yeah.
movie.
everything
Yeah.
they could.
that was gonna be a change in the guard.
Yeah.
At that moment when that line was said, I'm like, I knew it. I knew it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just knew it.
Yeah.
So, but no, my impressions
Yep.
after the movie, for a movie that was basically ending a saga that they started, 10 years ago, I was left with more questions than answers.
Okay.
And there wasn't as much closure as I was expecting.
What
Is it
question?
because of the time loop conundrums?
That's only part of it.
Okay.
I have some
Because there are
answers.
so many.
I'm glad someone agrees.
Well, I have
I'm in
some
the minority
solutions
here.
to what I think you might have.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's start with I guess the major one first. The time space.
There are several time-space loop conundrums.
I might
and-
need a whiteboard.
All right. First one.
I
The
have
shield.
one.
Oh yeah.
If he has the shield at the end, now you don't have to explain to me how he brought the shield back at the end, but if he brings the shield back at the end, what shield did he use when he was in battle?
All right, so different shields. You just get
No,
one.
it's the same
Well-
shield. He went and got his own
Well,
shield.
the thing is, when he originally
Right.
went back in time, he left the other shield there when he was
No, he
fighting
brought it
the
back.
original Captain America.
You brought
The
it.
two of them.
You brought
The
it.
broken
You brought,
shield?
No, he left two shields into the past. So eventually
didn't.
there were two shields.
There you go. Okay, that's a
Not,
good
that's
not
one.
to
one.
mention in the movie.
I didn't even think about
right.
that.
Yeah.
Tony actually said that he made it for him.
Yeah, he also said he made it for
The
him.
shield that he gave him in the movie,
Yeah.
or when he pulled up in the car, he actually said that I made this for you. You know, he actually
Did
said
he?
That. Yeah,
Yeah, he did say that.
he
too.
said that.
I thought you said I saved it for you.
No, I made it for you.
Well, because it's the one that he was building in his garage that whole time.
Yeah.
The half-built shield. I feel a little bit better about
well,
that
like,
now.
yeah, so like he brought the shield back when he came back through time.
But even living in his own time, that still causes a time loop of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, what's strange is, so like, this is what's
I had
strange.
that
There's
problem
two
with Nebula.
shields in the past.
Nebula's dead, but Nebula's alive. How did Nebula shoot Nebula
no,
and not
hold on.
fade away?
I've seen this
I know.
movie.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I'm
I
on the
thought.
same page. Let's let John.
Well, I
finish
have a
this off.
solution to that. All right, I will need a whiteboard.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
one
you
that's,
did
that's
it.
not really gonna work
Maybe
for a
with an
podcast.
alternate
All right, see if you can like.
No, that's
imagine
what
lines
my thing
being
is. I
controlled.
like honestly
Well-
that. Okay, I've actually seen this movie 3 times. So and me and Scott still disagree
All in
with this.
3D, but he
But
still
We
picked
are
up
in
things.
No, only
continuing
the
to
last
disagree
one
on
was
this.
Yeah. But the thing is, like the first time I watched it, I was like, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, there's some kind of a big plot hole. Like with Thanos died back then, so how's he around to do this that? But the thing is, I realized no, the idea for time travel they were doing is they were going to an alternate timeline, borrowing the stones from there, bringing them back to do the staff, and then they were going to return them. But the thing is, Thanos from that timeline came over, and when they killed him, basically he couldn't snap in that other timeline.
Correct, and yet, however, explained within the movie by the Ancient One, if you remove this stone from this timeline, it makes a branched off timeline, divergent timeline, alternate timeline, however you want to say that. Okay? But then Bruce says to her, but if I take this stone and I put it back right where it's supposed to
Fixing
be
their timeline.
at the same
Fixing the
time,
future.
then this branch, and as they showed, which what he was about to do on the whiteboard, that timeline branch faded
Exactly.
away. So, if Cap goes back with the hammer to return to Asgard, all the stones to put back in their rightful places, which, does he reinfect Jane Foster?
Yes.
Like he just has
He
to
has
walk
to.
up and
I was thinking about that actually.
Yeah.
so this
Oh, that's
old
so
man's
sad.
walking
That's one way
around
to do it.
basically. There's an old man Rogers walking around
just
the Marvel
sticks around
Cinematic
or-
Universe and just
Or
like
Disney.
creeping on people. But he goes back, he restores all of that stuff, so that means that those divergent branch timelines fade away.
Unless, and this is where
Unless the ancient one was wrong.
this is yes, she can be wrong. She
Can
admits
she?
it. Yeah,
She
she admits
was
it
wrong.
herself that it's possible for her.
She was
to be
wrong
wrong.
at first.
Anyway, so think of it
Like,
as
like-
a literal branch, right? So you have one branch, and that's our
A
timeline.
loop branch.
No, you're getting ahead of me. So, like, when you went back to a certain point on that branch, a new branch grows out of it,
Right.
and then it goes along here. Now, imagine Thanos and his minions. They would be on that branch. Everyone's on that branch, right? But you can still get from this branch to this branch. So what Thanos did was, imagine him as an ant. He just went to the other branch. So did Nebula.
Yeah.
And when that branch fell away, they're safely on this branch. They're fine.
Yeah.
Because they weren't on the branch when it disappeared.
Yeah.
Because
That's
this
not how it was
Gamora
explained,
is not
though.
the Gamora.
The way she explained to Bruce, though, is that there was that one line, which was the
Yeah.
solid timeline.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And,
but
and that's what she was showing,
Yeah,
is that
what I think-
this would fix your future, but at the same time, it would create this extra
And
branch.
she
It
wasn't
created the
wrong.
branch,
No, what
but
I-
that branch
But
was
She
created
could give
For
her
each
stone.
stone. For each stone as
for
well.
each stone, yeah.
I think
Right, but that's where I'm kind of having a problem with.
I think the thing with that, with her explanation, is we're seeing it as a branch when actually it's just, oh no, it's skewed. So it's not It's not a matter of this is her timeline and this is a branch off of it. It's this is her timeline and taking the stone out makes it take a right turn.
But that would also mean that every single time that Doctor Strange did this with the Time Stone, and every single time that Thanos did it to make Vision come back, which got no nods.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vision had absolutely
no nods.
The only nod was
I guess it
Scarlet
was
Witch's
just too
anger.
soon. Yeah.
It was Scarlet Witch's anger. That's it. But other than that, we
Jarvis
got
was in there.
I guess it was just too soon.
Jarvis was there, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
Jarvis was
actually
there.
Nod?
But it
That's
wasn't
someone.
actually
No, but
the
that was
guy.
a nod to Agent Carter that they didn't renew. You guys ever saw Agent Carter?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
The
Yeah.
spin-off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agent Carter.
Yeah, she had Jarvis, and that was him.
And that was him. And
Yeah.
that was cool that they kind of did
But I'm
nods to
talking
that.
about Vision, man. Screw him. We don't
Dude,
care.
yes. Where's White Vision at?
Well,
Something.
No, what's the
Something.
thing? Okay, if you go off of the fact
Well,
that
everyone who
he was
died
powered by the Mind
They
Stone,
stayed dead.
it no longer exists in the reality. It was destroyed. They never restored the Infinity Stones.
No, I'm fine with the fact that Vision's dead. They just never nodded to it.
But see, that's the other problem.
Quicksilver's dead, but they never again nodded to it.
That kind of brings it back to this. Is like, okay, the Infinity Stones aren't destroyed then.
No, they are.
No, they're re-existent within reality.
Well,
but
in the past.
Thanos,
Thanos destroyed
in
them.
your mind, is an alternate Thanos that disappeared.
No, that's the
and
one
all
that
of
comes
his
from the past.
alternate aliens.
Yeah.
But
The Thanos still exists. Well,
Well, he's dead.
He's dead, but he actually still destroyed the gems. So when they took those gems back to the past to put them in their rightful place,
they allowed him to do it again.
well, in a way, but that's not beside the point. What I'm saying is that currently in the Marvel Universe, present day, there are no Infinity Gems.
Yeah.
They're gone. Thanos destroyed them. They only exist. in
But
the
they
past.
don't then. They don't because they restored them to the past.
But
Because
how-
Thanos.
Well, they
that's-
always-
that
But
goes
then
back
he
to the
still
problem.
gets them,
Yeah.
and he still destroys them. So there are no more Infinity Stones, and Thanos is dead. So therefore, they can no longer be a
So-
MacGuffin in the phases moving forward.
So Thanos died twice.
Unless you go
Same
back
Thanos died twice.
a different.
And
the same
Thanos, and in their minds, an alternate time Thanos,
Yeah.
both died. So he got to be killed several times in this movie just to satisfy people.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted to see Thor take his head off. And who doesn't like I am Iron Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But real quick, I mean, jumping off that, talking about the Thanos from this, something I noticed I thought was really cool was the Thanos in this one was much more evil. If you notice, because and what I think it
Well,
was,
that's because as soon as he started his quest for the Infinity Gems, he saw himself as a white crusader versus a conqueror, which is what he was in the past.
no, what I was gonna say was like what I think it is over the course of Infinity War, and leading up to that, because this is like him from 10 years before Infinity War. He's gone through a lot of heartache and pain and humiliation,
Killing
and all that
his
stuff,
own daughter
killing
was
his
a
own
huge
daughter,
one.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of, well, I'm just saying,
4 is different than 10.
years is all I'm saying. But he's
Plus the time gap.
he's had all that to kind of mellow him and humble him, and
It's
so
just like Nebula changed.
yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting. Like this is young, idealistic version of him that has a temper and malicious and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was a really interesting contrast.
I don't think that was the case though. I think it's because he was shown the future.
Yeah.
So you got
And
really
That's
it
where
became-
his attitude changed when he was shown the future.
Don't you remember when
I-
he said arrogance?
Yes, I didn't like the Thanos in this at all.
I didn't.
I liked him.
I did.
I liked him in Infinity War.
Yes.
I liked him in both, but I
And,
didn't.
and the
see
reason
the
being is
alternate.
because in this one he's just like every other bad guy, villain, person out there. So I want to eliminate the entire world, or I'm gonna conquer, blah 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 blah. In Infinity War, there was actually you could actually follow the logic and reasoning, and to me, he really wasn't a villain, so to speak. He was actually trying to fix universes, which is what the Avengers have been trying to do for the longest time, is fix the world, and they failed at. You know? And so it was a completely different Thanos in Infinity War, which I enjoyed that one more than this guy.
Well, I think if you want to go back and have a humanized, close bond moment with a villain, that would be the Infinity War movie for you. But like Sean said, and how it was also mentioned in the movie, he says, well, arrogance. it's their arrogance, but he ends up talking about himself. He's like, their arrogance is going to bring them down. But also, seeing one's future destroys a person. And he's the only one that's reacting out of seeing his future. Everybody else, aside from Doctor Strange, doesn't know what's going to happen. And even Tony runs up to him and he's like, tell me this is the one. He's like, if I told you, it wouldn't happen. And it wasn't until he's like holding back the storm and he looks over and he holds up that one finger and Tony's like, it's always got to be me. Yeah. It always falls on Tony's shoulders.
I think they just need a beat.
That's why Tony had to live.
That's it.
It was good though. It was a good thing, but he got thrown around. He was not Superman in this. He got thrown around. That was a really cool invention he had to channel Thor's lightning.
Yeah.
Because since we remember in Avengers, he gets supercharged by Thor's lightning. Mm-hmm. There are so many nods to all the movies, but I have a question.
I got an answer.
Who thinks, or tell me what your opinion is, of the runaway winner of the funniest character in the movie? Like, who got you going?
I'm going to say it was Thor. I'm going to say it was Thor.
Alright, who thinks of, are you asking who is your
To
funniest
you,
character?
the funniest character that just kept you rolling, you really bonded with.
We'll do a roundtable on that then. Go ahead, Sean.
Right off the top of my head, I'd probably have to say Thor. Not Thor, Hulk. I mean, just...
Pick one. Was he green or fat?
I meant Hulk. No, I meant Hulk because, I mean, just his...
Like the talking pen?
His whole mannerism, like, he's like this... He's Hulk, but he's really zenned out the entire time. Kind of has this goofy smile on his face, and he's
like the first happy Bruce you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no, you gotta go.
No, you gotta go.
Yeah, I'll go.
I asked the question. I'm letting
I was
that
about,
go.
I was about to say, I sucked it up and made a quick decision.
Yeah.
No, I think,
I know who I want to say. I asked the question.
I think Thor was the funniest, and I'll tell you why. It's because Chris Hemsworth is a fantastic actor, and he knows that to deliver funny lines like that, you really have to feel emotion deeply.
Yeah.
And you could feel the pain coming from Thor, the disappointment in himself, like his struggle. And so the little funny, things he would say are in part self-defense mechanisms, and they were also very funny. And his timing is excellent.
Yeah.
I think he's a fantastic actor, and just
Yeah.
he hit his mark on funny.
He did.
My thing with Thor is I loved his storyline in this, where he goes back to talk to his mom and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I thought he had they all had really emotional storylines in this, but I loved his where he has to overcome himself and like his doubt and his...
What do you think, Ronnie?
Ronnie? Kaysie?
Not on the most sentimental moment, but the funniest character.
For me, I think the takeaway, it's like, well, I mean, I thought Thor was just hilarious throughout the entire movie. The ones that just had me just in shock laughter was Captain America. My God, when he sat there and just said, "Hail Hydra!" I love
Yes!
Oh, that was a nod. That was a
That
nod.
was a huge nod.
That was a nod on
I was
several
when I went-
many
yeah.
levels.
I was actually expecting them to do the whole scene from Civil War.
Well,
That's
that's what they were.
Winter Soldier.
That's what they were.
Yeah.
That's what they were
Yeah,
hinting
it was
at,
a nod to the elevator scene, but it was
Yeah.
also a nod to
Yeah.
the Hydra cap. It was,
Yeah.
The first showing I went to that went
but
nuts
Cap
when they did
versus
that.
Cap, where
That
he's
was
like,
great.
I know, I can do
Yes.
this all day. I know.
I was like,
That and,
that is
Bucky's
America's
alive.
ass.
That is America's
That
ass.
is America's ass.
Mine is Ant-Man.
Ant-Man did great.
It's
Yes, he
him.
did.
He just takes it for me.
See, all right. You sure you don't have one?
I have one. I just wanted to go right before you, though.
All right,
Because
go.
mine is everyone. Because everyone had their own moment that just really made me laugh. And I can't count any one above the other because, again, I let myself feel the whole thing emotionally as it was.
Mhm.
So I can't really just choose one. I have to choose everyone's individual moment.
I've got to guarantee right now, since I started watching this, I think they're calling it the Infinity Saga now, all 22 movies.
Right.
Since I started watching the first installment of the MCU, there's several characters that I wanted to be the most in love with. if that makes sense. Like, my name's Tony. Last name starts with an S. I'm cocky. I wear a good goatee. Obviously, I like Iron Man. You know?
You also
You're
have the heart
Playboy,
reactor
too.
in
I
your
have it
chest.
tattooed on my chest. Yeah,
And you're a playboy.
I'm a playboy. I'm a philanthropist. I'm just not a billionaire. But I'm willing to give whatever 2 cents I have. So, but honestly, there's those moments where it's like, okay, growing up reading comic books, I want to love this character the most. But after watching all these movies, this one character grabbed a hold of me. And I am so in love with this character. Never saw it coming. Never would have been able to tell you this was going to happen. Rocket Raccoon is the coolest freaking character I think that's ever existed. And part of him was being to be able to play with Thor. Thor and him playing off of each other.
I like that.
Yeah.
All of that was just so solid to me. And I love Rocket. Like, even when he was in danger, he's like, I'm gonna drown, this is gonna suck. Like, it's just like, oh man, I'm feeling Rocket the whole time.
That's not the question you asked us, though. You asked us what
He was
one the
hilarious.
That's what he said.
That's what I just said. He's hilarious.
You said he's the character you like the most.
I did.
But
I like
this
him
is
because
like
he's
the
funny.
least funniest movie Rocket's been in, though.
I don't think
Does it
so.
matter?
I thought he was
I
hilarious
don't-
in his quips and his arrogance and the way that he yells at people. I like that type of humor. Like, Hulk was funny. The smiling face, all that stuff. It was shocking. It was funny. Cap was funny. I liked the way that they played him. Thor, obviously, was the huge shtick of the movie. But I love angry, arrogant humor, and Rocket really pulls that off. He puts people down real quick. And even, like, Black Widow sitting there like, he's a raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
I'm getting
You know,
emails from a raccoon.
not really a raccoon. And it's like, eats trash.
Yeah.
Going back to
Yeah.
Trash
He's
Panda.
the coolest trash panda ever.
Ever,
Yeah.
man.
I'll be honest, I thought you were
Trash
building
Panda,
it.
yeah.
Casey, did you have one?
My favorite funny part was Tom Holland or Spider-Man comes back and he's trying to tell Tony what happened, and they're in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. All right. So
But they
Oh,
finally
I just want
hugged.
to say one thing that I just realized when Strange held his finger up.
Yeah.
I was like, what was he pointing at? And I just now realized, and I'm
That's
ashamed
the
to admit this, he's talking, there's just one where we win, and he's
Yeah.
looking at Tony. And I was like, that was beautiful, and I totally missed it until
Okay,
this moment.
And that's why
Honestly,
also
watching it 3
in
times, I
Infinity
still
War,
wasn't sure what the
he
one
made
finger system meant.
yeah,
Man.
I just got it.
It's also why.
It was the one.
It was-
Like,
this is the one.
Because
This
he
is
was
the
doing
one.
this.
it
and he
wasn't the
goes-
middle one, so I'm pretty sure we're safe on it.
And what was really excellent was that Cumberbatch even made sure that while he was doing that one scene, what was
Yeah.
happening the whole time? His hand
Yeah,
was
I thought
shaking
that was
the
pretty
whole
cool.
time.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
That's also why
All right.
at the end of Infinity War he made sure Thanos didn't erase Tony as part of him handing over the time gem.
Didn't kill him.
He was
Right.
central to that one reality where we
Yeah.
win.
Now, did anybody actually stay to the end of the credits
Yes.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah.
for the hammer?
Yes.
So let me ask you this.
I didn't
Whose
realize
hammer
there
was
anything
that?
at the end of it.
It was Tony Stark building his first Iron Man suit.
That's
the
what I'm
noise
saying,
that
like-
started everything was the
Alright.
noise that said this was the finish.
Yeah,
End of Tony.
that's what I had heard and everything, and that's what I had read online. But as soon as I mentioned that, everybody was like, "Oh, you can't read everything. Believe everything you read online."
No, when I heard it, I mean, it's because we were sitting there because I was like, I'm not leaving. And it was like that from the
Yeah.
original preview when he had the helmet over the anvil and he was
yeah,
hammering it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
My theory about
So-
that was maybe it was a nod to like maybe who's gonna be the next Iron Man.
Well, you did see the kid, right?
Yeah.
I did.
But I hope he's
I
not.
thought maybe it was him.
Or hire me.
All right. Let's go ahead and kind of keep things still on track. All right.
All right, so let's talk about the hammer in the room.
Actually, so we went with the funniest character, right? So let's go ahead and go with this. All right. The most sentimental moment of the movie for you.
Now you can talk about the
Yeah.
sentimental crap between Thor and his mom.
Honestly, that's not the part that. Honestly, the part that. Oddly, for some reason, the part that got me closest to tears was when there's a scene where Scarlett Johansson is talking to everybody in the holograms, whatever, and everybody goes away except for
War Machine.
War Machine. Yeah, can't remember his name. And he's explaining like, yeah, it was Barton and everything, and she's trying to hold it together and like takes a bite of her sandwich, like she looks up and she has tears in her eyes, everything, just fine and everything, and seeing the emotion on her face and like her trying to hold it back and deal with it and everything was what really got to me. So
She's a good actress.
absolutely.
I really honestly, I have to go right back to just when Rocket and Thor went to Asgard, and he's sitting there and he's like, this is actually the time when I brought this girl, and it's kind of funny because it's like, I brought this girl and she got to meet and then it's like all of a sudden like my mom, my dad, my like everything that's gone, even the place that he's standing in was a huge part of him, and it's destroyed.
Yeah,
he's not dating that girl anymore.
Everything's ruined in his entire life, and everybody's had that moment where it's like, I've lost so much. I mean, I hope people have had that moment where they've lost that much so they can understand having empathy for others and compassion.
People.
But well, I hope you fall. So you know
I
how
hope
to get
that
up.
if you fall, that you, I hope that if you do
or
have that
learn
loss,
how to understand and have compassion for
from it,
those who fall too. But like his mom said, and I think that built up to that moment where she was talking to him, so it was a little mixture of sadness and hope at that moment for me. But when she said, "Stop trying to be the person you think you're supposed to be, and start being the person you are," and that to me was the uncle and eat a salad. Yeah, but that to me was the Uncle Ben moment of the whole movie.
Yeah, that was great.
I can definitely see that. And that was something with Thor that I think is so great is how he fluctuates between those two of like the really goofy. He's kind of like had emotional breakdown, like basically his really goofy humor. To all of a sudden this serious like depression. Like he can do that flip, and he did that flip like all throughout the movie, and I thought that really kind of hammered in the emotion of it.
Hammered.
No pun intended.
Alright, so the things that got me the most, it's 3 scenes specifically, because they pull at my strings as a parent, as a dad, is the first opening scene, Burton losing his family. Then when he finally realizes that they're back, and then the father-son relationship between Peter and Tony.
Yeah.
How did you feel about Scott Lang seeing his daughter? And
that was my major moment. That
was also.
I was confused at that point because only 5 years had gone by, and I'm
she was 10. She's 15.
Yeah.
Some girls grow fast.
It's a different person.
That did not look like a 15.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah,
she did look like
that kind of brought me out of it.
That's a new 15.
Yeah,
you're gonna experience it soon, bud.
So I thought she was
that's
like,
why I
steal
yourself. Looks older than she is, and she still didn't look that old.
Okay, now I mean I can relate to that scene, yes, but because the actor that played the older form of Scott Lang's daughter, just the way she was looking looked older than what she was supposed to portray, and brought me out of it. But yes, I could have related to that just because of my own past history. But nonetheless, those 3 scenes were what really got me sentimental, emotional, and tear-jerked me some.
I don't know, just Tony saying, I'm going to help you do this. Like the 3 things he said, we can do this, but we must. Like that was his end all be all. His protection of his daughter was the ultimate.
We're not undoing the past 5 years.
We're not taking away my daughter.
I gotta keep what I've gained and everything. That was an awesome.
Yeah, I really felt Tony's
not
affection for his family, both with was it Pepper, and his daughter. Feeling that probably because it wasn't in 3D, it didn't take me out of it. But that emoted really well for me. Yeah. And also Scott Lang and his daughter. I don't know if it was just like his face that I was like. I was looking really good. Paul's face, just like shot emotion into me, you know. And also and I think it was mostly because when I saw Clint and I saw him with his family, I knew what was going to happen, and so it was kind of like this dread feeling that built up in me, waiting for him to realize something is very, very wrong.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got to me.
Jeremy Renner did a really good job in this one too.
Yeah.
With the
Oh yeah, when
emotions.
Natasha dies,
Oh,
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But did she die?
Yes, they've made it very clear throughout this whole thing that anyone who dies.
It's a
stays
different
alive.
reality now, though. Who knows?
No, it isn't. It's the same. They preserved the
Anyone
proper
who's
reality.
sacrificed
Who
to
knows?
the soul gem
It was.
is gone forever.
But yeah,
Or at least that's what they made it seem.
Gamora made it back.
yeah.
but she's
But
an
it's not-
alternate
it's not
time
Gamora.
Gamora.
Yeah.
Just saying, you can go back in time and get a new
Oh,
one.
you missed them the first time, but on the second one you got both of them. Oh
Actually, talking about that, I actually heard a creepy theory with that of did
Ronnie,
she
what was
get
the most
dusted
sentimental
with,
moment for you?
with the rest of Thanos' forces because she was originally.
Sometimes you just
They
have to
were
cut
good
Sean
for it.
off if you want to be able to get the
No,
full
she
circle.
didn't because, like what I was saying, they are ants that made it to the other tree branch before that tree branch fell off, so they're fine.
No, what I'm saying is when Tony
It's
dusted
Tony dusted.
Thanos and his
Wow.
forces.
They're time clones.
We could go on
That's
for
what
a
I'm
time
saying. Yeah.
conundrum the entire time.
Right.
So
They mentioned every single movie we could do it with.
So do we mean sentimental as in sad, or just really
Most
just
touching,
heart
most
touching?
heart-wrenching, most
pulled at your heartstrings.
emotionally
Uh,
moving, made you want an ugly man cry.
The thing that did that was like where Tony was dying. It's like Tom Holland.
yeah.
That boy made me cry twice. Once in Infinity War, and
Yeah.
then in this one. I mean, I was.
Yeah.
That was the
I
hardest
didn't-
part for me.
I
in
did not
Infinity
start
War.
off man tier. I went straight into ugly cry.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
terrible. But like it was just that, and like the thing that like really like just really touched me is like just like super heartfelt was when Pepper Potts Tony's like last dying breath was, "We're going to be fine. You can rest
Yeah.
now." When she said that, I was
Almost
like,
to him
oh.
and to Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like, we've got it now. You did it. We'll be
Yeah.
fine. You can rest. And it's like,
And
Yeah.
that was
I
the thing
just-
is like I didn't
tears
expect that.
just streaming at that point.
And-
I really liked how they didn't have Tony have any parting words. That it was just him dying.
well, his
Yeah.
hologram was his party words.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah,
And
that was
then,
good.
honestly, like the light going out was just
That sucks, man. Yeah.
Oh, that was
that.
the finale.
For some reason,
It
that
sucked
was
in
like
a great
a
way, but
That was
Well,
just
they
the
made it
finale.
fresh.
It's like, no, he's really gone.
Yeah, that's what
could've-
it was.
yeah, he could have walked up and did the thing again. But
Yeah.
Just
All right.
3,000.
What about you, Kaysie?
I love you 3,000. And everybody, even the Guardians, wearing black uniforms.
I do like the line at the end as part of the whole story. You know.
Sentimental part. All of it. I mean, all of it was sentimental.
It was like a Hallmark.
Number one, though.
This movie was a Hallmark card to the entire.
It was a slow movie.
It was, but it was
Very
like it was a very Hallmark oriented.
But what about-
It
so
needed to be
fast.
slow. Some of those scenes I
Slow.
actually noted were
Yeah.
like they paused for a moment so that Steve could look at the love of his life, and they like
You know,
dwelled
don't have
on it.
one?
And that
I
is
don't know.
important.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like when
okay.
building up that kind of like feeling.
All right.
absolutely.
So I
I
guess
feel that.
I'll have to say for mine, out of the entire movie, is the very beginning of it. It was the very beginning of it with with Clint there and his family, and the reason why that was is because he had no idea what was going on.
No.
Yeah.
And we did.
He had no idea.
Yeah.
He just turns around and his entire life is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like that. Everything he cared about, gone in a moment. All he did was just turn around and it's just vanished. And he has no idea anything is going on.
Yeah.
You know? Everybody else, I mean, yeah, you saw it happen before their eyes, but they understood and they could, place that anger
They
towards
saw
the
the
person.
smoking gun.
Okay? But for someone who doesn't know anything that's going on, and all of a sudden they just disappear,
Yeah.
he has no idea. Not to mention the dog, too, but...
And then I saw you see the dust, the remnants of his daughter.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he sees it, but he doesn't make that connection that
Yeah.
that was his daughter.
Yeah.
But
he
we
doesn't
know
realize
it.
Yeah.
what the dust
Something-
is. He
yeah,
doesn't-
we-
he doesn't until later. Of course.
Something,
Yeah.
something I actually thought
But,
they did really well with that scene too is like when his daughter first disappears. It reminded me so much of like all these movies where like the parent looks away for a split second and their kid gets kidnapped,
Mm.
and it's like they've got to be nearby. What happened? What happened? What happened? And that, like you said, the sense of dread there.
And also the fact that they purposefully put them out in a very open field with one tree, and so He can't find his daughter, so then he looks for the other two. They're gone, and there's literally nowhere they could have gone. Like,
Especially not when you're Hawkeye.
you're Hawkeye, yeah, you can see
can
very
see
well,
them, yeah.
and you
And
can
then,
see like
when
100
he
yards in
returns-
every direction.
You know, it's for the test trip, and he grabs the baseball glove.
Oh yeah, that was good.
You know,
And he hears his daughter, and he's calling out there, and then like they stuck him back real quick, and he's
just
like,
that.
"No, screw you guys." You know, like I'm done with your whole
Yeah.
mission. I just want to stay.
But all right. So let's go ahead and start kind of bringing it to a close here. I know there's so much more we could talk about and go on for hours and hours.
Like
and
Cap
hours.
with the hammer.
And about time and space. But before we go ahead and give it our ratings, let's add one more for us, okay? Out of the entire movie, what is one thing in the movie that you had a problem with? Maybe there's something in the movie you had a problem with.
I did.
All right, let's go
had a
Kaysie,
huge-
go first.
Yes, I had a huge problem with Loki not being around, and I wanted him back so bad.
Well,
and
he
he
died.
But he
disappears.
No,
Exactly.
that didn't
he
happen.
disappears.
But it did.
It
It
did.
did and it didn't.
No,
Because
okay.
it's a branch, and he could have
Here we go
teleported
again.
outside the branch.
Okay, I'll give you that.
He did have the test
All right. So yes, Loki.
That was the one thing that got me. I was like,
Okay.
Loki.
I loved how
That's
his
neat.
face
Because
when he was
I
like,
actually
No,
ended up
excuse me,
loving
it's
him.
A plus.
So
Yeah.
we'll go this way. Ronnie, what about you?
The one problem I had with this movie, well, that was just partly due to my expectations. I was really expecting Vision to show up without the Mind Stone, because I thought that's what it was hinting to. Like when they took the Mind Stone out, and he went back into
Gray,
went
monotone,
back to
white.
the gray, white monotone that he was in the West Coast Avengers.
Right.
But now I'm thinking maybe that's going to happen later. Like maybe like someone like online mentioned, maybe Shuri's going to finish.
There is
the
a Scarlet
and stuff.
Vision show coming out.
Yeah. So
Whatever
was-
that means.
Yeah,
that
say
was
something.
literally my only problem, was that one of my favorite characters was in it, and that's really not a problem at all, to be honest.
what were the problems that I had? Did we talk about problems in the car, Sean? I
You
didn't
said,
have
that,
any.
you said that you were having trouble finding problems.
Yeah, that was true, and that's very rare for me. It's probably because I saw it in 2D and not 3D.
Yeah.
So 3D was not the problem this
Yeah,
time.
it was not
Right.
a problem, and so everything pretty much worked. I will say, like, there was it was exquisitely crafted, considering everything, even not considering everything they packed into it. It was still a well-crafted film and paced well. There was a couple of marks, like joke-wise, that I didn't think landed just right, like off by like a fraction of a second or a frame or two. And then I think that like one action sequence that didn't land right, came a little bit too early, or like the timing was wrong, but only an infinitesimal amount.
Right.
You know, for the most part, like it's flawless. Like I cannot find flaw, and I really look, you know, for flaws. That's my go-to, is to point out everything that's wrong with something. I don't necessarily have solutions, but I can point out the flaw.
One of my flaws, like we mentioned earlier, was the age of Scott Lang's older child. I'm sorry, that was the one and only moment that really took me out of the movie for even a split second that it was, but that's something that took me out. Now there was another moment, but that was because of the audience of the theater we were in that took me out of the moment. But I'm not gonna mention
Was it
that.
that guy laughing?
No. It
That
was.
pissed me off. Like Tony's there dying, and I swear a guy is trying to keep from laughing.
Oh yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
But that was the audience.
Maybe
that
he's
wasn't
trying
moving
not
around.
to cry.
That was the audience.
That's I was thinking about. I was listening very carefully because it could have been that, and then like after several like trying not to laugh, I deduced that no, this guy's just laughing because he thinks it's funny that people are sad and it's not very emotional, or maybe he's laughing to keep from crying. I don't know.
Maybe he's a nervous laugher.
All right, Tony.
Honestly, out of the whole movie, I got through the whole movie, and like John said, there could be a few things where maybe it was like a fraction of a second off, and it just threw me out of rhythm. But they were so quick on picking it back up that it's hard to really have a huge problem
And
with
the pacing
the movie.
was excellent.
Pacing was so good. The music was really good. They just nailed so much
Yeah.
of it.
There's a lot.
But
Right on.
honestly, for me, and I understand that it was his character in the movie, that was where he's at, and he's not going to just automatically go get a Bowflex real quick. But in the epic, badass battle to end all battles of all 22 movies, everybody else is in peak form, looking great. And Thor kind of has like a dirty Rasta hair going on with a pudge gut.
Well, he braided his hair.
He did.
He did braid his hair.
He gave it the best go he could.
But
But
lightning braided his hair.
in this moment where you see him walking out and he's got 2 hammers, and it's like, oh, this should be so epic, but it was way more epic to see Steve pick up his old hammer than to see him walking around with the pudge gun.
I like that.
Yeah.
And halfway in the middle of the battle, he's like, "Oh no, give me the big one." And like,
Oh yeah,
you
that
got
was.
it.
I mean, it was great.
Yeah,
he was
that's
still
good.
humorous.
Yeah.
No.
You take
Big
the
one's
little
mine.
one.
This one's yours.
Yeah, this was bigger.
And that battle, like when everyone showed up, was just that hit its mark. You know, like just,
Avengers assemble, and he even
Yeah.
did it so good. Just Avengers
yeah.
assemble.
And then the look on Thanos' face, like everything, just like
Freaking
beat by beat, just
screwed.
like
Yeah.
this was the most well-crafted screenplay I ever had the experience to watch.
more people?
Sean?
How do you fit all those characters?
Why did the
in one
Defenders not? There's my problem.
movie? There you go.
One of the portals should have opened up, and the Defenders
Daredevil
should have
should.
been less lazy. They should have shown up to help save the world.
They got dusted.
No, they were undusted. By
Everybody's
that point.
They were
undusted.
undusted by that point.
Yeah.
Everyone was.
Strange went around collecting
Luke?
everybody.
Daredevil, even Iron
Alright.
Fist uppity butt. They all should have
I got
showed
you.
up just in a corner of the screen.
Oh,
Maybe they
but
did,
yeah,
and I didn't
Shield.
see
Wait,
it.
wait.
IMAX.
No,
they
on
did
your
it
left.
IMAX.
You know what they should do? On how
Actually,
it
I
should
don't know
have
if they
ended?
did.
They should have a scene of them showing their contracts with Netflix.
Yeah.
What do you think that they were
No,
doing
Netflix,
IMAX?
you hurt me.
No, Netflix is literally
Alright,
why they
alright.
can't show up.
Because it takes.
All right, so
cut out-
okay,
Alright,
so
guys,
Sean
guys,
get his.
My thing is, I've seen it 3 times now,
No.
and
Really?
Tell us again.
well, no, what I'm saying is like the first time I watched it, there were a few things that bugged me a little, but
Oh.
on every
Subsequent viewing.
yeah, like these scenes made more sense and they grew on me, and I was going to say the Smart Hulk just seemed a little weird, but he even kind of grew on me. He like not completely, but in general, I think the biggest
Hulk's rampage was the best part.
I know, right?
seems so contrived.
No, that was hilarious. But I'm talking about earlier. It was so weird to see Big Hulk with Banner speaking.
Did you notice
Like-
that he wasn't quite as big?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
quite
yeah.
as green.
Yeah, I noticed that too. But the thing is, like that isn't what wouldn't be my final
Good
decision
homage
because, like I
to
said,
Tyler,
he grew on me. My issue was like you said, Fat Thor. It was funny at first, and I thought it fit with his story, with his plot at the beginning. But at the very end, when he still looked ratty, like a
Maybe
homeless
when the
bum.
lightning flowed through him,
Yeah.
like God form happens or
It
something.
should have burnt off some of that.
Exactly.
fat.
That's what I'm saying. Burn off some of that fat, man.
Like,
But
you know
you
how
chose
many calories he has to burn to go to the
I
Thunderbolt?
like the fact that they let
Just saying
Thor
it.
be himself,
I know.
and
I
like
know.
you know, I can't live up to
That's
Thor
why I was okay
fat,
with
let
it.
alone
If
up
he
to
could
Thor
drink
fit.
a big old beer thing that looks like Donkey Kong threw it at him, shouldn't he be able to lose weight in like one exercise?
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, the lightning alone should sober him and
I
burn
mean,
off
I
calories.
like the aesthetic, like you know, Thor
I like
when
that
he's
he
all
still
like
might have to
superhero,
work all
but
this off. It's
I'm
like it
glad
shows that he
there's
is
a place
just
for fat.
I was
being.
glad that they kept
Yeah.
it that way. It's just
Right.
because don't just take away something that you did. But at the same time,
Yeah.
in the epic climactic battle, like I said, everybody else is in prime form.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's cool legs are freaking rocking socks. He's
Kill.
in kill mode.
Yeah.
Insta
Oh,
kill.
and we forgot to mention the A-Force moment with all of the girls
Yeah.
when they all ran the gauntlet.
Dude,
at
that was
once.
so awesome.
Yeah.
That was so cool. I really didn't have any bad things to say about that. I don't even like women when
You don't like women,
you know.
You
I
know,
don't
like
like women when, and I'll finish my sentence now. They have really short hair. I don't like short hair on women. I don't even necessarily like short hair on men.
You don't like
But-
the boy cut.
I don't like the
Like
boy
Captain
cut.
Marvel.
Well, it's like a
It is-
pixie, you know.
But
It's
even
good.
with that, I thought that she wore it. I mean, I didn't find it very
She
attractive.
looked
I
like
like
her
the
in the
faux
word
hawk
well.
better.
Because
So,
in the comics, she has that short hair.
Since we're filling out your dating profile here, do you like long walks on the beach down there?
I do not. actually. I hate beaches and ocean water, and if you knew me very well at all, you'd know I've been almost attacked by sharks every time I've been to
Do
it.
you also hate sand?
But if you look like
I
Captain
do,
Marvel,
because it gets in
everywhere.
places it
Yeah.
shouldn't be.
Alright.
It's
Places
so
I don't
coarse.
even let people go.
It's just
So-
so coarse and rough.
Alright.
I knew where you were going.
So, I guess for mine to finish it up here with that, I'm probably going to be a minority by saying this. Captain Marvel. That was my problem.
Really?
Okay.
Going from seeing her in the Captain Marvel movie and then seeing her in this, anything that she did in this movie could have been easily replaced with anybody else. No problem. Like, you can't sit there and replace Captain America easily, or Iron Man, any of the Avengers, really. But Captain Marvel, with her parts, could easily have been just taken
She's just
out.
power. She was the powerhouse.
It just
Yeah.
it just didn't really do anything as far as it's like, why are you in this movie?
So she
You know
could
what I mean?
show up at the end and destroy
That's
that ship.
I thought she was the tactical nuke and get headbutted by Thanos.
yeah,
and
Look at him like,
The
who
thing
cares?
that comes down to it, though,
That was awesome.
think about it, though, in the
That was
entire
awesome.
3-hour movie,
Yeah.
how much was she a part of? That she actually
It
did
was
something that
minimal.
couldn't
She
be replaced,
brought Tony
Extremely.
back from space.
which could have been done some other way too.
That's
Which
true.
I thought that was
I
another
really
problem I
thought
had too, was the fact that
honest-
she just
you
randomly
think that-
shows up.
Yeah.
where
Honestly,
she didn't know.
Tony could.
See,
or,
that's what once that
But
happened,
now
it
they,
kinda-
what kind of a ship were
Miss
they on?
Potts could
They
have
were on
sent
a
out
Ravager
a-
ship,
a-
right?
An Ultron bomb.
For me, I really thought that Sylvester Stallone and the rest of the old Guardians of the
Oh, that
Galaxy
would've
were
been-
going to show up and help them.
That would have been even more
that,
awesome.
that would
I
be
thought
yes.
that would have been the what? Because they
Right.
said they were going to run off and do stuff again. And for him to show up with like Charlie 26 and Martin X and all them, like
Not to
just be
mention,
like,
my biggest thing with
who
that
lived?
too is like with her looking the entire universe or whatever. She only been looking for 23 days because they stated that
Right.
it's been 23 days. Everybody that knew where they went were on that ship that survived. Nobody else knew where they had gone. Nebula was on that ship, and so was Tony.
And Rocket. Rocket was on there too, wouldn't he?
Like, you just have to assume she
no,
has
Rocket was with Thor the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
Infinity War, Rocket
Second,
left
the
with Thor because he
hammer.
was like, respect your captain.
Yeah. So, like,
Another moment where it was like,
Yeah, because
so
Rocket
love
had left to go with
Rocket
Thor to
even
the
more.
Dwarven planet, so he didn't know where the others were going. So that moment there, I was like, it kind of like, what the heck? It's kind of
like happenstance
To me-
that she came upon Tony.
Yeah.
yeah, which
Well,
is
he
like.
was.
That type of
Was
stuff
he-
happens
was
all
he
the
trying
time
to
in the
send,
comics. Silver
signals
Surfer
out,
just
though?
rides up on someone
Yeah,
floating in
You're
space.
right. It does, but when you spent this much time building up with 21 movies,
She's got cosmic awareness. There you go.
you know what I mean? You seem like there'd be a little bit more to throw in there than that.
She would be
You know,
kind of like
happenstance.
attached to.
Well, she can travel faster than the speed of light.
But anyways,
Yeah, and
that was
attached
my
to
problem with
green
it. It's to me, it seemed like she was out of place for the movie.
Well, she's
She
too
did kinda
powerful to
seem
be
placed.
in the movie for very long.
She just seemed really out of place of it. It's just what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, I don't think that they could have spent a lot of time on demoting her power level in order to make her humanized for that period.
Yeah.
Because in both of her appearances right now, she hasn't had to be humanized. She's just been showcased as a straight up powerhouse.
That
Well,
would be
I was
interesting
expecting this,
in
like,
the next Captain Marvel if like something happens to her powers and it does make her not.
That something's called Rogue.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Could be, or there's
honestly, I
sometimes
hope not
binary.
because that's something that's always bugs me. Is
I
you have like they did that in one of the Wolverine movies where it's like, oh, you no longer have your healing factor.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
You've already
Yeah.
seen no way well, Wolverine's not Superman.
I know.
Well,
it's
like
like-
Wolverine has to
ahead.
suffer.
I was
That's the thing.
expecting,
Character has to suffer.
I don't know. It's like Captain. As far as Captain Marvel goes, like I don't know. I didn't really see the payoff from the pager scene at the end of Infinity War because I was just like, I mean, it did kind of throw me off. It's like I was excited to see her rescue Tony, like during the movie and stuff like that. But after thinking about it, I'm like, well, I mean, like maybe she heard like the signals or something like that he was sending out. I mean, that could be maybe, I don't know, but I thought like seeing her first would have been on Earth. It's like she's gonna. Like, I thought she was gonna show up there just like really, really angry, be like, "Where the hell is, Nick Fury?
No, she never said that line either
Yeah, where is
in
he?"
the trailer.
because they
It
showed
wasn't-
it before.
It wasn't in the trailer. It was in the after
It is,
credits.
yeah, after credits.
Oh, was it?
But I did thoroughly enjoy her being in the movie, though.
Yeah.
I think that
Oh,
they
yeah.
didn't get, like Scott said, they didn't give her enough of a passage. If she's going to be carrying the weight of the next phase, then they should have given a little bit more time to throw more of the burden onto her shoulders and pass off the torch to her. I felt the torch was more so passed off to Spider-Man than anyone else.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But that's not even like
really?
That's not even Disney company.
You
That's
didn't
like
see
giving
Spider-Man?
No,
He was in it.
No, I'm saying I didn't
He was
see
in it. He
them.
played a big part.
I'm saying I didn't see
Iron
them
Man had them.
passing the torch to Spider-Man.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I was.
Captain America. Yo, Bronx.
Yeah.
Referencing
Queens.
again. Well, okay, because Cap's Bronx. Okay, so he's like, yo, Queens. And he does the thing with him. Tony finally hugs him. And is the only reason that Tony even rethought doing the time stream thing in the first place.
They're not just gonna pass it
As
off to
he's
Sony.
running it off by himself,
Yeah.
he's got the gauntlet by himself for the most time, and he's being Spider-Man. And then several different people have to come and like attribute to him. So like Captain Marvel helps him, Valkyrie helps him, but each way he's like making all of these connections with people, becoming the new spoke to the wheel.
Honestly, I see it.
The hub.
We were talking in the car about. I could see more Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange didn't talk. Didn't talk.
No, but what I'm saying is
Nobody
he's
even.
basically a good counterpart to Tony because
That's not
he's
the
super
point. It's not a new
intelligent
Tony.
and he has.
It's not about being a new Tony.
His name's not Tony.
It's about being a new hub. Tony's a hub. It's not about being him. It's about being a hub.
To build on what Tony is saying, it's like what I saw, like the torch is being passed on like to several characters, and
Yeah.
Falcon.
I truly believe within a couple of years there's going to be a new Avengers movie that's going to be titled.
It'll be
New
all new Avengers.
And
Yeah.
I think of course, it's going to have Spider-Man in there and stuff like that. He's going to be a little bit older.
Hopefully Wolverine.
Yeah.
Hopefully Luke Cage.
Yeah,
Deadpool.
yeah, Wolverine and Luke Cage. Because think about it, because the contracts ended for Netflix and stuff like that, you have to wait 2 years.
Actually, let's
I just don't see them handing
And
over the whole thing.
Maybe
That's
Captain
fine.
Marvel will
Yeah,
have a
1
power
year.
crisis and she'll come back as Warner.
All right. So we go ahead and finish this up. I don't know where Matt went, but
Oh,
we'll
no,
do the star rating
the
without him.
snap happens.
All right, so we'll go ahead and start. Let's start with Sean. Okay, so on a scale, 1 star to 5 stars, how would you rate Avengers Endgame?
10.
Your vote doesn't count. All right, tell me.
I would
Yes.
give it a full vibranium shield bounce off of a Mjolnir. That epic.
So like a 4.5.
5 supernovas.
5.
Supernovas. Dying
I
stuff.
take it Sean's is 5 once you round it down.
Yeah, he's
So that's 2 5s. I'm really reluctant to give movies a 5. But, well, I mean, there's lots of ways you can judge a movie. But, this movie, looking at all the different angles that you could judge something, it really did hit all the marks. Everything from the acting to the writing to just, the unprecedented nature of, the culmination of 10 years packed into one movie. I'm going to have to give it 5 stars. I have no choice. It earned it.
James Rhodes even showed up in ultimate Iron Man armor.
Mm-hmm. So, Kaysie?
Definitely. No, I don't know.
4.62.
I was gonna say a 4.5.
So what's the point 5? You got to explain yourself.
Cause Loki wasn't there.
Oh,
She's got a bad girl crush on Loki. Star rating, Matt. 1 through 5. How many stars? Hurry.
I give it a Tony Stark.
That's a full 5.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's a full.
5 stars.
Ronnie?
Man, it's now that I'm actually able to talk about the movie, it's definitely a 5.
Oh yeah, welcome back to the land of the living. I'm so happy you're alive for me again.
Yes.
You got undusted for me in this movie too. That was very emotional
All right.
for me as well. You came back to life. Sean came back to life. I could get back on social media.
4.5. I can't give it 5 stars.
One thing that did just occur to me though, occurred to me during the movie, but it occurred to me just again. Captain America had a moment to be the Ultimate Avenger, and by Ultimate Avenger, what I mean is, I'm a fanboy. I used to collect Hot Toys. What did I do? I took Captain America's shield, put it on Iron Man, and had him holding the hammer too. He not only had the ability to lift the hammer, he had the shield, but what did Tony give him at the beginning of the movie and said, here, you use it next time? His nano suit. In that little triangle thing, handed it right to Cap. Cap didn't hold on to that, redesign it as the Iron Patriot, and then come out as the Ultimate Avenger. Just saying. Could have been a really cool, cheesy...
We can't fit everything in this movie.
Cool, cheesy fanboy moment.
Just
Just
the
mostly
potential of that
everything.
is enough. If it exists in your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like my profile picture right now.
I haven't looked at your profile at all.
For me, I gotta say
I
that
couldn't.
I gotta say 4.5 is probably best I'd give it. I mean, it was a good movie. It really was. I mean, yes, it kept you entertained for 3 hours. You know, and it was great. And I thought it was a pretty good conclusion to, you know, the saga.
Yeah, it's very definitive.
Satisfying.
But personally, well, I mean, what I would like to have seen. This has nothing to do with my rating, by the way. Just something that I was thinking about after seeing Endgame that I would like to have seen.
Exactly.
I would have liked to seen them not reverse the dusting. I would have liked to see them go into the next phase
Without that.
without the dusting. Because when they ended the saga, they ended like any other superhero movie.
Yeah.
The good guys won. That's what I think made Infinity
It was
War
so
so
lost.
definitive.
Was
that the good guys
But they only
didn't
won
win.
through sacrifice.
Yeah.
Well, that's any other superhero movie.
Not really.
I mean,
Yeah, that's-
What does Superman ever sacrifice? Even Batman doesn't
planet?
sacrifice anything. He didn't sacrifice his parents. He didn't sacrifice his planet. That's just
The main
stuff
character
that
died.
happened.
Batman makes plenty of sacrifices.
But does Batman die? at
Does
the end of
he?
this movie?
He sacrifices getting laid to fulfill his psychosis.
I mean, like Arrow, for instance, he sacrifices one his personal life, you know, because that,
yeah, but that's
you know,
not like I'm going to war. I'm going to sacrifice an arm, or I'm going to lose an eye, or I'm going to come out of this half burnt and dead.
Well, the
the
arguable
key
main
thing
character
of
of the
it
whole franchise
is
died.
Iron Man.
He died at the
He
end of
died.
it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, the key thing of any of the superhero movies, there's always sacrifices in some form or fashion, whether it's relationships, lives,
Ultimate
allies,
sacrifice.
your life. You do the heroic sacrifice and sacrifice yourself.
You gotta remember Sokovia.
You know, but honestly, like I really would have liked to have seen the next phase, the after effects.
Just keep
What
going.
if Tony comes
That way.
back as an evil half-charred version
But
of Tony?
anyways, that's just kind of my personal opinion. I thought it would be a really
Evil
neat,
Tony.
different direction. That's all. That's
I-
all I'm saying on that.
I've actually
Obviously, it didn't, and we'll see where it goes.
I was
It
actually
needs
thinking
to be
about that
Dark
recently,
Avengers.
where, like, yeah, I think that would be a cool alternate reality, alternate storyline, whatever, where they did have to deal with, like, people are still dust and all that stuff. But as pertaining to this movie, that was their
It's hard to write.
main
though.
goal
Support
for
group
the
was
entire
enough of
thing.
explaining it to me. I thought I got it. I understood it. There were no birds.
I want to
But
know.
There were no birds on the planet
Well,
until
half of them
Hawkeye
were
looked outside and he was like, "Oh my God, there's birds!" Literally, the half of the universe gone was explained within the support group. I thought that was perfect. That little roundabout table is perfect of explaining. Nobody's moving on. Nobody's getting up. Nobody's doing anything heroic.
But my biggest thing with
Even
that
the
though
heroes.
is, it cannot be
Even the hero.
that only the Avengers are the only ones with powers that survived. Only the heroes survived this snap.
No. I don't think so.
I don't think
that
so
other
either.
things are going to come out of it because
See,
obviously there's
and
huge
that is
nods
what
to
I would
so
like to
many
see.
villains.
I would
So
like to
many
see
villains came out of this. Again, Robert Redford showed up again. Everybody except for Hela showed up again. But I really would love to see her again.
Yeah.
I
She
really
could still be alive.
loved her. She
Yeah, I
was
thought she
just
was
so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
She's my like.
Super sexy. She's
yeah.
like my dark
Alright.
fantasy.
Oh yeah, she's
Well-
my dark fantasy.
Let's go ahead.
We can be there together.
Let's finish this
No,
up.
that's weird.
All right, we're going to finish up this
It's a whole
podcast here. Thanks for listening to our discussion of Avengers Endgame. And actually, if you want to see our take on the Infinity War saga through the movies, the MCU, listen to Inferno Squad and Mortal Shield as we take you through the movies and also, eventually
into the future.
into the future.
Into the future.
So
To the
be sure to
great
listen to
beyond.
that. And like, subscribe, share with everybody you know. And until next time. Thank you for listening to another episode of Saturday Night Gaming. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, and now on iTunes and Google Play.